So, if you follow the mainstream media at all, for the last year, I'd say at least the dominant economic story has been about the supposed labor shortage. I'd say even more so than hyperinflation, even more so than unemployment, than business failure, than supply chain issues. It's been about businesses not being able to hire people. And I find in probably 80% of the cases, in some kind of left wing populist independent publications, you have people arguing the other side. But generally speaking, the explanation that's offered is workers are lazy, they're greedy, that people don't want to go back to work. And this ranges from people at like minimum wage jobs to upper middle class professionals. None of these people want to go back to work. And companies have just completely capitulated. They've completely given up. They've basically said, we'll pay you whatever it takes to get you back to work. We'll offer you whatever benefits it takes you to get back. We'll offer you all this flexibility. And it doesn't matter. The people are so lazy and they're receiving so many government benefits that they just won't take it no matter what. And I mean, on one level, you can argue this kind of goes against how the labor market works at any other period in American history where people are trying to get jobs. I mean, obviously, there's a percentage of the population that's on welfare, but you're kind of supposed to believe that all these people who were laid off during COVID, who were getting government benefits that couldn't even really support their families, are saying, oh, I'm going to turn down, if we're supposed to believe the narrative, making 50% or 100% what I was more than what I was making prior to the whole COVID thing. And I mean, does that logically make sense to anybody? If this was really the case that there was this complete capitulation by all employers, that they would just be completely incapable of hiring anyone. So I'm going to be honest, I don't believe it. I think what the corporate media often does is they'll take a photo of like one McDonald's in some like random area that's paying $15 an hour and say, oh, this is the norm. Oh, they'll take one job ad where they're offering flexible work time. I don't know. I tried to do some research, but it's very hard to kind of make any kind of determinations. But they will present this as being the new normal, that wages have gone way, way up, that there's all this additional stuff that workers didn't have before. And as I said, I'm very skeptical that this is the case. I'm very skeptical that people who are getting, like $400 a week or something on EI they just don't want to make, I don't know, $1,600 or $2,000 a week at their massively inflated wages. And let's pretend that that is the case. Let's pretend that they are offering McDonald's employees $30 an hour to flip burgers, that secretarial positions are paying like $50, that management positions are paying like $90 or $100 an hour. Let's assume that that's the case. They're offering them flexible work time. They doubled their benefits, all this other stuff. If that is the reality, then the economy is just fucked. If I can be kind of blunt, it's so fucked that the systemic issues are far beyond any kind of employer-worker relationship. If we're going to accept the narrative that no amount of money makes it worthwhile for people to work, then isn't that like some sort of signal that the economy is in complete collapse and no aspect of our society works? I don't know. That just seems reasonable to me. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons this could be the case. There could be the reason that the entire thing about them capitulating and offering whatever wages workers want, that they've gotten rid of all their nonsensical hiring practices, that's a form of ritual humiliation, that they're offering flexible work hours. It could be that that stuff is all just bullshit and they're not doing any of that, or they're not doing any of that to the nearly the same degree that the claim is. The other one is that we're in like some sort of 1930s or 1920s Germany thing where the hyperinflation's so bad that wages can just not keep up with it. And that the McDonald's worker that's making $30 an hour has to like run and buy their chicken tendies after the shift because they're going to double in value or something like that. And then I guess there's the last one that people are just getting so much money from the government that they don't want to work. So I think it's fair to say those are the three main uh, answers to this whole labor shortage. A, the whole thing about them capitulating to labor is largely nonsense. B, hyperinflation is so bad that there's no point in working because you're screwed either way. Or C, government benefits are so high that it's not worthwhile for anybody to work. So, I mean, any of these, I think, are cause for saying the economy is just fucked. And any amount of guilting people to go back to work is just not really an answer to this problem. And it's a lot deeper than the ability of companies to pay people and stuff like that. And this is where we really get into the whole boy who cried wolf, your word is really the only thing you have type of scenario. Because I remember for years and years and years when the labor market was more favorable towards employees, the job interview process would be a form of ritual humiliation. You have to fill out these massive sheets. The interview process, they would just ghost you. I've worked for companies in the past that just ghosted me. They just stopped paying me. They stopped talking to me. They wouldn't respond to any of my emails. And then I had to formally resign. And that was just kind of the scenario. So you have these same people who, as soon as some workers started to do it to them, they started ghosting them. They started not wanting to go through their nonsense. There was just all these articles crying and bitching and saying that, oh, it's so unfair that they're doing the same thing to us that we did to them for all these years. And it was okay when we did it to them because they're the plebs and they don't matter. But how dare they do it to us? And I find that's true with just about everything. Like when workers try to unionize and then the company will shut down the store or move out of state to prevent that from happening, or people will demand higher wages and they'll do something to crush that, or they'll use HR departments and like a snitch system to try to destroy any form of dissent or criticism. And now that people are saying, you know what, we didn't really like the situation, we're going to have to renegotiate it. And they're saying, no, we refuse to do that. But it's your fault because we don't want to negotiate our side of it. Like, I know at the company I'm working at the moment, they've periodically gone from everybody working from home all the time to flexible working. And the ultimate goal is everybody has to go back to the office 100% of the time. As soon as we physically can, we're going to revoke everything that happened over the past year that we forced employees to engage in, and you're all going to have to go back 100% of the time. Whatever quality of life improvements you got, and I'm not even in favor of working from home 100% of the time. 1 or 2 days a week would be nice, just so people don't have to commute and they can maybe sleep in a bit. But we're going to revoke all of that. We're going to increase everybody's hours. We're not going to give out raises because profits are too low. But we wonder why we can't keep workers. We wonder why people are going to other places. And part of this that I often find is I don't think companies really value talent or experience very much. Just from the few number of companies I've worked for, generally speaking, if they want talent or experience or something like that, they tend to hire from outside. Like they don't want to necessarily promote internal workers or give raises to workers or provide internal training. If they want someone for a job, they'll just hire someone from outside of the company, and they would rather lose experienced workers who have a very important skill set that are fully integrated into the company than give them any sort of raise. And people can post below if that's their experience or not. That's my experience. That's the experience of a lot of people that I've talked to over time. And so, like I said, this whole thing is very much like a CNN tears, Crocodile tears, fake news thing. Because, like I said, even if we buy the media's narrative 100%, it's indicative that things are so fucked on a fundamental level that the actual issue has nothing to do with employers and workers. It has to do with inflation, or it has to do with companies not actually doing what they say they're doing, or any of a number of other things. So it's kind of a pick your poison type scenario. And I think what they'll probably do is they will just cut government benefits to everybody and raise prices through inflation until people who work for a living are basically forced to completely capitulate, accept whatever deal they want, and go back to the situation before. And they're trying to claim this is going to be an opportunity where workers have power, where they're going to try to reconfigure the relationship between management and labor. I don't really believe that for a minute. I don't think they're going to address any of the issues like people work too many hours relative to their productivity. I mean, if you look at a lot of white collar jobs, people just spend a lot of the day surfing the internet. The work they're doing isn't particularly helpful, anyways. They could probably come to some sort of agreement where people work 10 hours a day from Monday to Thursday, and then they get in every other Friday off, or just cut the number of hours down to 35. I know a sleazy thing they did in Canada was they just got rid of paid breaks to reduce everybody's hours to 35 hours a week. So your breaks are, you're forced to take them, but you don't get paid for them. And that was just a way to control wages. So that's just kind of the scenario. I think it's nonsense. I think it's the media shilling for corporations yet again. I'm not even a socialist. I'm just trying to be real here. I'm trying to be real here as someone who works for a living, who knows a lot of people who work for a living. I think this is the experience a lot of people are having, but I don't think that it's really a perspective that's outside of a couple like left-wing populist publications that anyone's really talking about. But that just could be me. Post your opinion down below. God bless, and I'll talk to you guys later.